Hi everybody, welcome back to my crafty desk. I'm actually on the opposite side of my desk. I'm going to do a little bit of coffee dyeing down in my craft room, which is the first time I've ever done it down here. So, welcome. My name is Sandra, and I am so happy that you're here crafting along with me or just hanging out. So what I just wanted to do is show you a couple simple things because I keep putting these videos off, and because I want to take all my whole setup upstairs. I don't have to do that. I overthink things. So what I did is I just grabbed me a coffee cup. I heated some water in a kettle, which is, I don't know if you can even see how much water's in there. There's like, that's not even half a cup. That's all I need. All I need that for is to melt my cheap coffee. I will say the cheaper the coffee, the more I don't like to work with it because it's very sticky. But with the prices, with the way prices are nowadays, I'm not willing to use more expensive coffee. So I went kind of midway. This isn't the very cheapest, but it's not a good brand. It's still a little sticky, but it's just the classic roast. Great Value. Who's that? I don't know who Great Value is. Is that Safeway or Walmart? Maybe it's Walmart. I think it's Walmart. So that's all I do. And I'm just going to melt it. And so all I'm doing is I'm going to see how dark do I want it to melt. I mean, how much coffee I want to put in here. I want a nice dark mixture. So, and then I'm just going to pour it in my pan. And I don't even care if it's all melted, which it is. That's fine. Sometimes putting the grounds on there, salt, there's different things you can do. Oh, first I put down wax paper. And then I've grabbed some papers here. So I grab my wax paper and I put it down on my surface that I'll be working with. And I'm a very messy crafter, so it's definitely going to go other places. And then I have another tub here with just regular tap water, cold, warm, hot, doesn't matter. I don't want it ice cold because it hurts my hands, so it's not really warm either. It's not even tepid. It's probably cooler than I want. And then I just pour as much as I want. And I just kind of get the color that I like. See? It's like when you make your own coffee and tea, you kind of know what it looks like. You know, for the color, you're like, oh, yep, that's going to be the perfect taste. Well, for me, it's the same thing with my coffee dyeing. I know by the look of it, yeah, I think I'm going to really like that. And if it's too light, I add more coffee. If it's too dark, I add more water. So easy. And I'm going to try and do this with the gloves on. We'll see how far my hands let me go. So before we go any further, I'm going to put that lid on there because I'm also very clumsy because I just don't pay attention. I just poke, I zero in. So what I have got here today is just a few things to get started. I went and grabbed me a couple of different kinds of papers that I want to play with. A couple of notepads of paper that I wanted to play with. These are things that have been in my stash. I have a section where I just keep stuff where I'm like, I know I'm going to want to coffee dye this. So I grabbed some things to use for coffee dyeing. Here's some trim that I like, so I grabbed that. I've grabbed a couple. Here's a doily that I found in my stash. Here's another trim that I found in my stash. Another trim, and here's Gauze. And this is what I use to get my neutral pages. I use the Gauze. And I'll show you that in just a second here. So, oh, looks like somebody already wanted to join the party here. There we go. Get in there. Get in there. Be in the party. That's okay. And some of the other things I have two different sizes of these super cheap chippy paint brushes because they're fun to smear with. For me, I like it. I also grabbed a dollar store bath mat for texture to see how that's going to work. I don't think I've ever used it before, but it's been in my stash for over a year. I need to try it. There's the one paper that you'll see me use, and I say that I love the grid on it. This is a placemat. This is what I use to do that. So I have several of these, and I just sandwich them in between. So, got me a few things to work with. I got all my bottle caps for my waters, and I just kind of place these down sometimes. I don't know that we'll get to everything here that I've pulled out, but I wanted a variety. Here's a drawer of stencils. Here's my 12 by 12, and I think mostly that's in here is my 8.5 by 11 stencils. And oh, there might even be paper, who knows, but so I grabbed some stencils to work with. And I set those over there. And I do not have a very big station here to work with, so coffee residue here. Let me just put that over there. And I'm going to try really hard. My camera's pretty far away from me, so I'm going to try really hard to stay in focus. Ooh, look at it. I already got a coffee ring going. I was kind of looking around as I'm doing this to see where did I stash my coffee dye paper that I've made in the past. I mean, not my coffee dye paper, my sheet that I used for 2 years straight. And I got some bubble wrap here also we can use. So, but I have a sheet that I used for 2 years straight of coffee dyeing that is so crunchy and so delicious. I mean, it's amazing. Give me 1 second. I'm going to see if I can locate that real quick. And I can't. I've been moving things around. Dang it. Well, on the next video, I'll have to grab that and show you. So the first thing I do, okay, I have that. That's just nice and wet, so I'm just going to set that aside. Another thing that I like to make my grids with is this stuff right here. Do you remember this stuff? It's that plastic that you would sew the threads in. I don't even know what it's called. I grabbed these from the Dollar Tree a long time ago, and these are just I'm gonna use these as trays to set my papers in since I'm working in a small section, and then I can just stack them on top of each other. Hopefully everything I'm saying and doing at the moment makes sense. So one of the things I like to do is, here's my notebook that I've been working on, and I kind of practice. Some inks will bleed, some don't, so it's just kind of like, that's a practice thing. You just know what's going to work and what's not going to work. And I can see already a little hair already got in there. I'm not going to worry about that because they will brush off when the paper dries. Whoops. Let me just dip the whole book in there, and you can do that too. So a lot of times I'll just do this and just keep flipping the pages. This is one thing to do. If you want them on both sides, and you can come back later and do the whole book. Make them darker. You can do both sides. Oh, I see this black notebook and I keep thinking it's my phone. My phone is not. My phone's up high. So there's like that. So you can do that, and you can just keep saturating the papers. They will come apart when they dry. I think that's why I only had a few on here, is to see how it would work. And you see how easy they came apart, right? So just kind of like that. Pretty simple. It's so simple. It's like so simple. Now, if I wanted to do anything different within there and see like, how is this going to work? I can even try this. Put a stencil in between it like that. And then I would just take more coffee and just drop it in. And then I'm going to leave that alone. And I do not have that centered, but I just want to see how that's going to work. And we'll have to come back on another video to see how these turned out when they dry. So all I'm going to do with that one is close my book on it, like that, and like that, and like that. If it wasn't in a book, I would just stack the paper, and I'll show you that in a second. So I'm going to set the book aside and see where my coffee ends up. Another thing I do is I just take my papers and if I want them fully drenched, I do that. I run them through one side, and then I just do this. I push it down, and then I just gently turn it back over, and that's what I do. So, and the reason why I do that, I'll show you. So I just sunk that one all the way in there, and watch, it's going to make a liar out of me, but sometimes it doesn't get the whole other side because it touched the other paper too soon. But it looks like I have enough coffee water in there. So we'll just keep going with that. And then I think that's how I'm going to get different variations with it on the water. I mean, oh my gosh, with it on the paper, where I'll get some light spots. So let me just get all that in there. Now, if you don't want it dark, there's things you can do. You can, if you don't want it really dark, you can go a lighter color here, or you would just take it and then just go in it. I hope my head's not in there. Oh, I don't think I'm tall enough. Okay. I mean, I don't think my camera's high enough. So there we go. So I'm gonna do that one really quick. Real quick like. And then I'm going to set that one over here on my pan, and it's actually going to pick up all those impressions of those little dots. So I'm just going to Normally I'd be a little bit more careful to get it lined out, but I'm just kind of doing a quick video here and it's still usable, so no matter what I do. And it is going to crease right there, and that's fine because I can iron it. If I do too much coffee or do it too dark, that crease could end up crunching over, which also again is fine, but if it's not what you're wanting to do, you want to definitely be careful. And see how I'm trying to pick that up. I can't wear these gloves and do this, but I guess I can. It's just not making my life easy. Look at me. Okay, OCD took over. Sorry about that. Okay. It's all right. It's how I work. So there we go. And so I'm just going to let that stay so you can, I want you to see the difference. I'm going to set that one aside. And I'm stick my book in there to keep it down. Well, no, I don't want to put my book on there because it'll get the impression. All right, stick with it, girl. Now, let's see. I'm going to move this stuff out of the way. Yeah, I need space to work. I'm not very good at the no space thing. I want this table, you can't see in front of me, but I'm going to be setting things on it. So I want to be able to do that, and then I can lift it up. So normally I lay the papers down, and then I'll lay something on it, and then I'll lay another paper on top of it. But because I want to lift, because you're going to be at a camera and I want to be able to lift it up, I'm going to set stuff on this because I can manage this a little bit better. It's got a little bit more stability to it. And I'm going to see how I can do this with my gloves on. We'll try. So I just kind of let the water run off a little bit. And I only do that so I'm not dripping coffee everywhere, but depending on what I'm making, sometimes I'll take I have a long counter upstairs in my kitchen, and so I lay my papers out like 2 and 3 deep, and I lay it all the way down. I think I can get like 12 papers sometimes, or 13 papers all the way in one line. And so I have my coffee dyeing way over on one side, and so sometimes I'll take it and I'll just drip them as I'm going across just to get more splotches, depending on what technique I'm after, or what look I'm after, or what experimenting I'm trying. Do I remember everything I do and how I get the looks I get? Not always. I mean, some of the stuff I remember, but you can literally just take your papers, and you don't even have to take them out one by one, and then you can lay them on top of each other. So I'm going to show you something. When you lay them down, if they're crooked like this, that line is going to show up as a line on your paper. So if that's not what you want, then I would suggest either figuring out how to line them up if you're going to stack them, or putting something in between them, like a stencil or something like that. So we'll put a stencil in there. Oops, I did not get that all the way on there, but that's okay. Well, okay, I'm just gonna live with that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add more coffee to that. Just drop it down everywhere here. Maybe I should use the big one. So now this is gonna take, I don't dry in the oven. I'm too dangerous to even ever attempt that, so that is never gonna happen with me. I only air dry. I don't do it outside because I never know when the wind's gonna pick up. I live I have mountains. I live in a valley. There's mountains and lakes all around me, so with that we also get wind. And it doesn't always keep its promises according to the weather notifications. So I don't do it outside because I don't want to chase paper. All right, I'm getting too crazy with lining that up. I'm just going to do it quickly for the sake of us. And then what I like to do is I like to just kind of press it down gently or rough. I would try to be gentle so that I don't rip my paper, and just try to push the bubbles out. I feel like that's going to give me the best impression. It's one of those things where you just kind of do it, and then you find what works for you. And through that process, with your oopsies and secrets, is how you find your best parts that you love. And then hopefully, at least for me anyways, I will remember how I got that. But I don't always. So now I'm going to take another one out, and I'm just going to lay it on top like so. And I'm gonna take another one and do the same thing. Oh, looks like I got a couple, so I'm just gonna go ahead and grab the stack because it'll still dry. And sometimes when I'm really rushing, if I have a big stack like that, I'll just pull the whole thing out and then set it down, and then I'll come back and pull them apart and do what I want with them. So they're gonna dry a little bit differently, and that's fabulous. Now, let's try this. So what I wanna show you, and it's not really gonna show up here, is, so I like this look. I don't know if you can see it. Hold on just a second. So I'm gonna pick up my little paper here, and I'm gonna turn it this way, and hopefully that does not fall in my pot. Oh, it's gonna fall in my pot. Let's do this. Okay, there we go. Can you see that? I guess I can look in the camera. I think I can see. All right, so I'm gonna lay that up there. So if this was on the counter and this was like starting to dry, I get my little gauze. I get my gauze and I soak it, and then I just run it like this. That's all I do. Okay, and then you can already see how it's gonna get those beautiful looks, and some's gonna be darker. Now, if I don't want that real dark look, I'm gonna squeeze some of this out, hopefully into my pan there, or on here. And then when that dries, when I go to, if I let that dry like that, when I go to coffee dye it, these are gonna pop through the coffee dyeing, because it's gonna be, when I coffee dye it fully, it's gonna be the secondary run through. So if I don't want it to be that grungy, this dark, then I do the same thing. I just go back and forth with my gauze, just softly, and get the look that I want. Now, it's not watercolor paper, so I do need to keep that in mind when I'm rubbing, that I'm not, gonna tear my paper. Okay, get that in this pan. There we go. So now, well, that moves me on to the next step here. So if I want some lighter spots, I'm gonna just take my gauze, and I'm just gonna play with it, just like you would if you were stamping. Like if you're inking and stamping, this is the same thing. I mean, you're using your techniques a little bit differently, so I'm not using blending brushes. I'm using other types of things that I have. If I want to put something like this on there, I don't have to dye this first to get that impression. I can go this way and just lay it across the thing there. And then I would just simply go in here, get my coffee, and drop it in, I believe. So we're gonna find out, but I think, whoa, and there she goes. All right, let me see. I'm gonna do that really quick here. And I still have paper in the pan, and that's fine. I can leave it in there. So now I'm just gonna drop that in there, and then I'm just gonna let it do whatever I wanna do. I'm just kind of fooling around with it. I do not know 100% what's gonna happen, but I do know that I'm liking these lines. So I look at it as if I'm painting, which I don't know how to paint, but I'm looking at it as if I was painting or inking or anything, and pouring, whatever it is that you have done in the past that you like, and just kind of follow that flow. So now I know I'm gonna get some lightness. There's gonna be a print of something. I expect something to be there. There's gonna be a little bit more darker coming through, and it looks like it's bleeding on down, and it's gonna be lighter. So I'm pretty excited to see how that turns out. Sometimes it's, it's a win, and sometimes it's, oh dang, that didn't really work out that great. But hey, I learned something. I always learn at least something through every process. But I want to take this off now, so let me cut this. So we're gonna move this little table that I made. We're gonna move that. Grab a new one, and we're gonna just set that on there. Now let me see what else I wanted to try here with you. Oh, I like this one too. So this is another one of my favorites, is this lace, which does not hold coffee, because I have used this one so much. And then when I'm rinsing my stuff out, because I'll try to get some of the coffee out. I don't want it to be like rock hard and crunchy, so I do rinse them out. And sometimes that's how I found this out, actually. So what was happening is, as I had coffee dye papers, let me move that out of the way. So I had coffee dye paper that I was working with, And I'm just gonna take that stack out and just lay it on here. And I was in a hurry and I was cleaning up everything. I was like, my husband's like, come on, come on, come on. And I'm like, I'm trying. And I had, this was all coffee dyed, and I needed to, and I had to rinse it out. So I took the, and we'll just do this, try and get this wet. So as I'm in the sink, I'm rinsing these out, and I had a ton of stuff out. Like, it was insane. It looked like a little store upstairs, but so I was rinsing it out, and I'm like, I didn't have anywhere to stick it because everything was used, and I didn't have time to grab more it was like every inch of my kitchen was covered in paper. And so I took it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want it to dry too, so I kind of opened it up, and I laid it down like that. And that's all I did. Sorry. I wrung it out. I guess I could do it again. I wrung it out after the water, and then I just kind of opened it up, and then I laid it down on top of some paper. I thought, okay, you know what? If I wreck this one paper, that's fine. And that's what my thought was. It's like, but I need this to kind of dry a little bit so I can work on it when I get back home from whatever the heck we were doing that we were in a hurry for. So that's what happened. So I'm going to leave this one like that so we can see how that one turns out. Let's see. I've got another pan here. Let's play with this one. So I don't know if I'm going to get to all my little fun things that I have, but like I said, I have that bubble wrap, and then I have some placemats. I don't know if I've used, you can try this. Let's just try this one right here. And I take my placemats and curtains and things like that, and after they're clean and dry, I roll them up with these big rolls, like from wrapping papers. It's just the easiest way that I have found to contain them. But I want to see if I can get this lacy print. So what I've noticed, like this one's like full. I don't think it goes through. I think that makes a difference. And this pan has the holes in there, so I don't really want the holes. Here, let me try this. Am I out of paper? One second, I'm gonna grab some more paper. Here, I found some scrap paper real quick, and I think what I'm gonna do is I have this cardstock, so I'm just gonna lay the cardstock down on my wax paper that's already inky. I mean inky. I guess it is an ink, right? It's coffee dyed. So I'm just gonna lay it down there and just pick up some color, and then I'm going to take my paper from the copier machine that got stuck in there, didn't want to go through, so I just throw them to the top, so I know they're not going to go through a second time. I do not have the magic touch, so take that. I'm going to lay that one down. Gosh, I'm sorry you can't see me laying them down, but I mean, this is the best I can do at the moment. Suppose I could do that kind of, maybe. Will that help a little bit? Almost when the video's done. So I just laid it down. That's what I was doing in front of me. I was just laying them down. So then I'm going to take that. And then what I want to do is I want to actually get a little bit more coffee on that. So I'm going to paint some coffee on there. I'm sure there's a bazillion ways to do this. This is how I do it. And I like it. I love this. This is so much fun. And then I'm going to take my print and I'm going to face it down. It's kind of an emboss. And I'm going to hope this one works. It should work. And I'm just going to press it down. Now you can take something heavy and lay it on top of that, but in my experience, wet paper is pretty heavy, so I'm just going to take these, and I'll do the same thing with like music sheet and all that good stuff. So now those are folded pieces in half, so I don't know what the inside's going to come out to be, and there's some weight on there. Okay. I like that I'm already seeing that the grid's not bleeding through, so that's giving me some hope on that. I love that. And we'll take another coffee dye paper here. Just regular copy paper for coffee dye. And then we're going to lay that one on top also of that. And I'm going to take a lot of times what I'll do is I'll wait and I'll let this dry, and then I'll come back, or they're like barely damp, but they're pretty dry because I have to flip them. And then I'll put things like this on there, but this one I'm gonna go ahead and do it while it's wet. Okay, my little spots aren't gonna be perfect, but that's all right. Let's stay on there. It's getting caught under my oh my gosh, fumble fingers, as usual. Come on. Well, there's a little bit of Maggie hair right there, and I've got another one on my finger. Dang it. Oh, let me just flick coffee everywhere because that's bright. Oh, somebody grab the wheel and take over driving, please. Okay, so just want to get these all on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna let these ones dry, and I'm not sure when I'll be next on the video, but I'm gonna keep working on these. I will video every process that I move through it with, though. I just don't know when I'm going to upload them, I guess is what I meant to say. So I will be showing you my process. So when I go to move these, we'll do it together. We'll be surprised. We'll either be ooh la la or oh, so sad. But we'll do it together. Okay. And one more, and here we go for another one there. So let me see. I think I have a little bit more time. I can keep on fooling around here for another second or so. Have paper in there? No. But I do have this one over here. So look I laid this over there on that paper on accident, and look, it's already, can you see that? It's already getting those impressions. So isn't that cute? Now, let's see if I put it in there. Is it going to hold those or not? Oops. Okay, now we have a tearing piece. So, because I'm so rough with my stuff. Come on. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna lay that on top of those to see if I can get a double print there. Why not? Why not? And I think that's about done. So like I had her band just now sitting on this one over here, and it was starting to pick up an impression, like, you know, so you want to also be mindful where you're throwing your stuff. Because you will make your designs, if you're wanting something specific and you have something touching it or overlapping, then you know that's going to take effect, because it's just going to pick up those impressions. Sometimes when I do lumpy bumpy stuff like this also, it gives an almost embossed feeling to it, which is nice. A nice little surprise that I found. Let's see, do we have anything else that we can do with these? I just feel like these grid papers need to be in here. I brought them over, let's just get them done. Now, when I open that up, let's see, I can do it with these gloves on. The only reason why I'm wearing gloves is because I will have stained coffee hands for days, and anybody who doesn't watch this particular video will be like, oh my gosh, she's a dirty crafter. The dirty crafter. Good night, come on. I don't want to be known as a dirty crafter. Okay, come on. Okay, dirty crafter it is. Let's go. Cannot handle this. See, that's what I wanted to show you right there. So it's not going to actually get in there. Suppose I should just do this one too while I'm here, while I'm at it. Maybe if I wash my hands right away, it won't be so horrible. So, it's not like I have pretty hands anyway, so I definitely don't want them to be looking all like dirty. Oh gosh. I got in trouble when I worked at, not really in trouble, but kind of like frowned upon when I worked at the bank, and I came back from my lunch break with my coffee dyed hands. I didn't even realize it at first, and I was driving until I was driving, and my looking down at the steering wheel, I was like, "Oh my gosh, that does not even look right." You're dressed up in nice clothes, you know, for the office job, and then but you have coffee dyed hands. Not even in a small town. Doesn't really go over that well. Oh. Good. Okay, this is just gonna be a mad mess for me. So what I'm gonna do is not fight with it anymore. So I'm just gonna rip it up. And I'm just gonna set it on, oh, you know what I'll do is I'll set it on the, you're not gonna be able to see this, I don't think. I'm gonna try. I wanted to try this mat, but I feel like if I put it this way, this is raised, I feel like it's just gonna, it might give me a good impression, but I think it's gonna be more like bumpy. So I really wanted to do it on this side. Maybe since it's nice and big, I don't have to fight with it. There. Dilemma. Gone. No more dilemma. So, oh my gosh, how am I gonna do this? Oh, I'm not even wearing the right clothes. I don't want to be copy dyed myself. So I'm gonna try to move this. Ooh, spooky. I'm gonna move that up there. This over here, out of the way. Woo, man. That was pure luck on my side. Okay. I've got coffee dye. I've got coffee up on my desk, and there's like this much of a gap between my table and my desk. So that's telling me that I have coffee dye on my floor probably. Oh well. It's all that vinyl plank that's down, so it's easy to clean. Unless of course it's paint and I didn't see it right away and I didn't get it off. And that's our secret. No need to tell Jason. Oops. I just smeared my paper. Dang it, Sandra. Okay, I'm just gonna quit fighting with it. We'll just see what we get with this. So, there we have it. That's all I have. I lost my glove. There it is. Get my tools together, and I'm literally going to just leave my coffee in that pan down in my craft room. It's nice and cold, so I feel okay with it, and I'll get this kind of cleaned up a little bit so I don't dump it. But generally, I'll just keep using the same pan over and over again for days or week, like at least a week, maybe 4 or 5 days. And I just keep adding my water to it if it's dark, and I just keep using it until I'm done coffee dyeing. And then I clean everything up. I don't save my coffee. I know people do, and they'll make a batch and they'll put it in the fridge and they'll put, I don't know, is it vinegar? I don't know. I don't know what they put in there, but maybe they do. Maybe they don't. I don't know, but I don't do that. I just make it, use it, and if I have stuff left over, I just dump it, because when I coffee dye mass when I do it, and I'm not going to come back to it for a long time, so there's no point in me saving it. So I just use it. Do you see how these impressions, I don't know if you can see it on camera. Let me see. I'm going to scoot you down. I'm going to try. Can you see any of that? Is that too much? I'm so sorry. I really can't see what I'm doing here, so. There you go. I'm going to put you all the way back, out. And that's it. We're going to come back and try it again, see what we come up with all this stuff. I hope you guys like this little bit of a process video, kind of, on how I do it. This isn't fully everything, but it's a big chunk of it. Hope to see you on the next run of this. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye, friends.